Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Ordinary People, Extraordinary Lives, where we chat with people who have gone on a spiritual journey and then use that as a springboard to create something special to serve humanity and to serve spirit. So today we're here with two of my favorite people. We just met them a couple of months ago. They showed up here at the Casa de Santa Maria and Mother Mary's Garden, and we just clicked right away. Now, what's really special about these two people is they're creating a similar project in Tennessee, and it's called A Place to Feel God. They also have another project called the Farmhouse Sanctuary in Alabama, which is actually close to Tennessee. I think,
Yep.
didn't you say it's like 6 miles away or something like
Yep.
that?
Yep. Yeah, it's
With a
very
bed
close.
and breakfast and they're an animal sanctuary that Spirit has led them to create as well. Uh,
Hmm.
what we're excited to talk about is the similarities between the Casa de Santa Maria and Mother Mary's Garden and the energetic um, things that are happening here and the things that they're creating there as well. So this should be a fun conversation. We'll see where Spirit takes us.
Great.
So the way I really like to start is to ask people about how their spiritual journeys got started. What really triggered this connection with divine spirit in a way that allowed to shift your own journeys and change it from one of, I guess, third dimensional work to serving spirit, serving God, and helping the planet and helping people on their spiritual journey. So, who would like to go first?
You go ahead.
I knew it. Well, I grew up in Germany and was raised in a Catholic church. And somehow I couldn't find God there. Even as a child, I felt like God is not, where's God? I'm looking for God. And then when I was 15, I told my parents I'm not going to church anymore. And they were like, oh my God, you're going to hell. And I'm like, no. I'm not going to hell. God knows me. God loves me. I believe in God. I believe in the angels. I'm just having a hard time connecting through the church. And of course, everybody has their own path and their own way. So everybody needs to find their way to connect to God. So my life then just got very different. I was just looking for places to find God. I was then studying with a native shaman, got in touch with, the open prayers where you just pray from the heart and not just from a prefabricated prayer, and do sweat lodges. And so that was very interesting, and vision quests. Um, and I looked into Buddhism and Hinduism. So it was just like, this is all interesting. I felt like, God, there's so many things that all make sense, and you can just put it together and find your own way. But one thing over time I noticed was when you join, at least it was for me, that there was, something where, first of all, you had to pay a bunch of money, then you had to, react a certain way, pray a certain way, do a certain things. And then I felt like, but God knows me. I don't, and something felt off, something felt a little manipulated with the parts that I got in touch with. And eventually I just thought, I'll just forget it. I'm just pick and choose whatever feels right for me and what feels good in my heart. And then I moved from Santa Cruz to Santa Fe. And I heard about a couple that would come to Taos once in a while and have like angel meetings, so-called angel meetings, where the man was able to leave his body and let angels come into him. And his wife would support him in it. And it was incredible. I mean, I was there the first time in November of 2007. I had no idea what I was getting into. And I was called up first. And I sat in front of the man, and he already had seen how he changed, took on the spirit. And then he said, I am Michael. And I was like, Michael, who? Turned out it was Archangel Michael, but he told me it wasn't my fault. He didn't really get into it, but he prayed with me and I started crying. I've never cried that hard. And he said, yeah, you just need to let it out. So I cried for like 4 hours until my head burst. But it was a first, another step towards healing and letting go of the old past, the old pain. And yeah, it was just, and it was finally there was a place where I could just be me. There was no here, you have to pay like so much money to be part of this. You don't have to wear certain things. You don't have to act a certain way. It was just me. And I could just go there and pray. And so that went on for years. And I brought other friends with me. And that's where I met this one. Now it's your turn, sweetie.
Well,
Yeah.
I've had a I would say extraordinary life, and really it's divided into two junctures. I was raised in the Methodist church and went to the Presbyterian church for many years. So I understand Christian doctrine, and but I had when I was younger a few experiences that I couldn't explain, but I really hadn't thought about them that much. And then the man that Ute just talked about, the angels told me it took them a long time to organize him, the two of us meeting. And at the time, he was working in DC. And was tax lawyer. And so I'm doing, $100 million deals or more than that, just traveling, just totally engulfed in the world. It's just representing rich people in merger and acquisitions. We have clients that buy all over the world, and so we follow them. So my wife is telling me to hurry it up.
No.
No, it's fine.
But in any event, they put us together. And at the time, the man that she talked about wasn't my law partner, but ultimately he became my law partner and moved to Alabama and moved his family to Alabama. But in the process, his wife had serious, she was assaulted. I won't go into it because that's her story, but trying to heal her from that led him to a place where he had road to Damascus experience with Michael, and he was on a mountain in Taos. And so after that time, he received this gift. And so when he became first, while he still lived out there, he called me one day and said, a being wants to talk to me. Well, I didn't know. I mean, this is as far from my universe as you can get but I trusted him. And I mean, he's a, renowned attorney, and we'd done a lot of transactions together. So I trusted him completely. So I went out there to see what he was talking about. And it was extremely scary experience for me at the time, because he would transition, and then at this time it was a Native American named Bear Feathers, and I mean, my heart's pounding. I don't have no idea what's going to happen, and all Bear Feathers said to me was, "You have a good heart." That's about all I could take. And then he left. After that, and then subsequently he moved and became my law partner. And so for many years, anytime Michael wanted to talk to me, he would just come in my office and
Archangel
say,
Michael.
yeah, Archangel Michael or Archangel Raphael or Archangel Gabriel. Those are the three main, and they would just come he'd come into my office. He would allow them to come in, and I've spoken with Michael and Raphael, literally thousands of hours. And so, and then I guess once you become comfortable to it, you just look forward to the experience. they always bring you the truth. It's not always comfortable, but it's always the truth brought with love. But it's unvarnished. And then the angels, it takes a long time to understand that they're very cryptic. You think they're saying one thing, but they're not. And for instance, at the time I was married to another woman. I won't go into that story, but Michael told me to get horses because they would help my wife heal. So I got 4 horses, wild horses, Mustangs, and I'm not going to go into that story because that's long too, but I had 4 horses. Then after the divorce, then I was led through my friend's wife that Ute was my soulmate. And so she and I started communicating and obviously fell in love and ultimately got married. Well, Michael married us. So we're there at the ceremony, and my friend, because there were a lot of people there, it's hard to see when the transition happens.
My mom felt it.
Yeah, but yeah, you'll feel it. But Michael performed the ceremony for us. And during the ceremony, he looked at me and he said, I told you the horses would help your wife heal. So that was, 3-4 years later. That the angels look out so far. And so that was, then they asked me to write a book and more books, actually 5 books. I've only written 2. But I've just had such extraordinary experience with that side with heaven. Probably the most dramatic is, while I didn't really want to write this book because I'm naturally an introvert, and so I'm not really looking for any sort of spotlight. And so I'm in my office working. My partner comes down and he and I are just talking. And all of a sudden he gets this quizzical look on his face and he goes, Gabriel's here, which is unusual because Gabriel came once to take my commitment to serve God, but that's about it. And then, so he goes, Gabriel's here. And then all of a sudden he's gone. Gabriel's comes and he says, this is God. And boom, then Gabriel's gone and God started speaking to me. And he said 3 sentences 3 times. The only thing I can remember is he said, my word shall be heard from the mountains to the oceans. And that experience is just God speaking. The way I describe it is if someone had a fire hose and opened it up full force in my face from 3 feet away. That's the energy I felt from God. You can't keep your eyes open. I was in a chair that rocked back. I'm rocking back. My eyes are closed. And it's more power than I can describe. And that's just God speaking. So that was an extraordinary experience, obviously. And so at that point, if you don't believe, you're an idiot. But they know where you are. And I only had one talk with Artemis. And Artemis he and I have worked together before, he said, and at other times in this world. But Artemis is fabulous, but he presented as an old man. Artemis is the one in charge of the weather. And so we were in a prayer circle, Bluebird Day, and he points up and moves his finger, and all of a sudden there's a miniature tornado right above. This trees are swaying. You have this total vortex, and then Artemis does that. It's gone. And that's where Artemis asked me if I would agree to be a prophet. And I immediately said no. I did not want that job. And so then he's talking to heaven, and he comes back and says, would you allow us to call you a shepherd? And I said, yes. And so, it's, those are overwhelming experiences, and it's just hard to accept. You think of yourself as insignificant and unimportant, but when you have these extraordinary experiences and they're asking you to step up. So that's what I said, yes. And now that's where we are, stepping up.
Very good. So just to clarify a little bit for folks, your friend was a channel for these archangels, which then
Actually, they got into his body. So
right,
he's left the
trance
body.
channel. Yeah,
Mhm.
kind of like Summer and Dr. Peebles, for those that have watched our
Mhm.
practice,
Yeah.
where
Yeah.
she leaves her body, and then the same thing with this gentleman, where he left his body and the archangels would come speak through him
Yeah.
and give you those messages. So that was the encounter, that was the change point in your journey, correct?
Yes. Yeah. But it takes time. I mean, first of all, I mean, Michael said the reason he couldn't talk to me initially is because I didn't feel worthy of speaking with Michael. Now, I look at Michael as my father, and I look at Raphael as my brother. I've spent so much time with him. And Michael, the word Michael means one like God, and Michael is perfectly named. I mean, he's a fabulous being. And I mean, they all are. Every angel has a different personality, but they're all powerful and imbued with love. I've talked to, I don't know, maybe 10 different situations when they wanted me to know something, and so it's just, yeah, an unbelievable experience. No, I'm an attorney, so I never expect anyone to believe this, because if someone had told me, the prior me, that they'd had the experiences I've had, I'd think they were a lunatic, an idiot. So I don't expect to be believed, but it happened. So
Yeah. So my kitty's here. If you hear him meowing in the background, another one has come to let herself be known. So anyway, so that's really interesting. And how, and my understanding is you sort of have your own relationship with these archangels now, rather than having to go through this gentleman to engage with them. You've been having your own connection. So when did that start opening up?
when I had confidence that I could, I was hearing, but I didn't trust myself. And so it's, probably in the last probably 7, 8 years, I've trust now, and I don't. So now they talk to me and I talk to them. So it's but I've spent so much time with them. I know their energy, I know their feeling, I know their voice cadence, I know their personalities. So I know when I hear it, I know it's real.
Very nice. So Ute, how has this Conrad's awakening? I know you guys came together about 15 years ago
Yeah, 20.
through the angel work that this gentleman and his wife did. That's how you guys met. But really, the angels orchestrated you guys coming together about 15 years ago, correct?
Yes.
And so, how does your journey fit in with Conrad's? Was all of this, how did you respond to Conrad's all of a sudden having angel experiences and talking to the angels? And
Well, he already did that by the time we met.
okay,
So, but I, independently of him, had my own experiences with the angels and felt and heard and just noticed change in me. And so when they brought us together, at first I was like, no, thank you. I don't need another guy. No. But it was very clear that we were meant to be together. And he lived in Alabama and I lived in New Mexico in Santa Fe at the time. So It was a huge move, but it felt right to move. And he had these 4 horses that he talked about earlier that were supposed to help me heal. And so my life, our lives completely changed. I was a social worker. I'm a singer-songwriter. I, did organized events and all. And now we're living on a farm. And I grew up with a hamster. So there were 4 wild horses. And like, oh my God, what am I going to do with them? How am I going to take care of them? So I had to learn. And it was just a beautiful journey, like how they learned to trust me and I learned to trust them. So we both needed to experience that trust making. And then there were other animals that were in need. So now we have about 100 animals that we're taking care of, which includes longhorns and 19 horses. We have 5 donkeys, a mule, sheep, goats, chickens, dogs, cats. And so every day is a big adventure with all these animals. And we also opened a bed and breakfast, which we didn't plan, but that has been wonderful since, especially in these days, people experience something that most of them never had or lost. So they come to the farm, I take them out on a farm tour when I feed, and they get to meet the animals, hear the stories, and really feel the peace and feel how the animals respond to love. And it stays with them. And it's so beautiful. I get emails later, years later, like, we still talk about you, we still think about the farm. It's such an oasis. So that has been incredible. And then we have this place to feel God that we're working on to open that. So there is a really good connection. So people could come to both places and feel love, feel God, feel nature.
Michael suggested we open the bed and breakfast. That came from Michael.
Yeah.
Did the place to feel God also come from the angels?
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was from Michael.
Right.
So
right.
it's all led by the angels, by the Holy Spirit. I mean, but they all work together. Michael may be the one presenting, but they're all with him there.
Right. As you were talking, Ute, one of the things that came to mind was how the animals are holding the energy in that space just as much as you are.
Yeah.
And the right animals have come to hold that space. Do you know what I mean? And nature is such a healing experience to get out of your world. I'm sure for you, Conrad, getting out of the tax lawyering, attorneying or whatever, and being able to be in that natural setting, I think is a beautiful place that awakens people and opens their heart. And that's what animals do, is open their hearts,
Yeah.
So what I want to ask is, well, I know that you guys have gifts that Spirit has used through you to help people. Do you want to describe that a little bit, the work that you do in helping people on their spiritual journey?
Okay.
Go ahead.
We
rarely raise the talk. They get the feeling, but we never initiate anything. But they'll tell us, and most of the people are led there.
There's sometimes somebody comes and it's very obvious that they were sent there for a reason. And then so the angels, they taught us how to pray with another person, how to pull out stuff that's not needed, negative stuff, how to fill with love and light. And it's not just we can do it, we can teach, that everybody could do it. So then, taking them out to the animals. I mean, sometimes when people are in need, some of the horses that have been abused, they respond to that person because they feel the same pain or felt the same pain in their life. So then that connection happens and you can see there's some healing happening. Some people then are willing to go to a place to feel God. We take them there. There's a special circle. Supposedly the land is, there's a creek running through, And there's caves underneath, crystal caves, and supposedly that makes the veil really thin. So we've taken people in the prayer circle and prayed with them there, and they had some extraordinary experiences. So it's not like, oh, we're doing this every day. I mean, we pray, we're there, we're open, but we're not like preaching, oh yeah, you come here and then that's what we're doing, but it's really a natural flow.
Following the Holy Spirit about and being open to help people.
Yeah.
Is the way that works. Yes. Yeah. Cool. Yeah. So let's go deeper into a place to feel God. This calling happened for you, Conrad, is my correct understanding. How long ago did that happen? It's kind of like Milt and I. Ours is a 20-year journey with the Casa de Santa Maria and Mother Mary's Garden. So when was that awakening for you that you felt called?
They asked me to buy that. It's 18 acres. And it was, I don't remember exactly, but I think
it was before you met me.
Like 2000, late 2008 or early 2009.
Mm-hmm. And that's really interesting because that's when we first started. 2008 was when we first put the statue in and started creating Mother Mary's Garden in the Casa. So interesting.
I mean, I knew when you prayed with me, I think I've told you that I knew you were real. And so that's where the connection, obviously we were led to you. And so these two sites are clearly in God's design to help this world heal.
Yeah, I agree with that. So let's talk a little bit that, because I think there are no coincidence that you came up here to visit the garden without even knowing what it was.
Yeah.
And you guys just showed up out of the blue. And I think, and I don't know about both of you, but Conrad, you really started clicking in and realizing what it was. It wasn't just a garden.
No, I felt that energy. And I mean, it's the same energy I feel here. And it's the same energy I feel when there's an angel in my presence. So I knew immediately.
Something was going on there. So, and I'm just going to take a little moment and I'm assuming on your Farmhouse Sanctuary website, is it farmhousesanctuary.org?
.com.
Yes. If you guys want to help them out to take care of all these 100 animals, you're welcome to go give donations. Okay. I know that a lot of people
with your hands.
Or come out with your hands and say, I'm going to come out for a week and shovel manure if needed, that's what we do, on our spiritual journeys. We haul water and chop wood, that's why we're here, to do the things that spirit doesn't have hands and feet in this world. They just have presence. And we are the ones that go do the material things in this world to get the job done that needs to be done. So they certainly will take volunteers as well. And we'll put up on the website, put the website up for you guys, and you can go on there and look at it, and and certainly donate, to help them out, take care of these animals, because that's a big undertaking for that. But both places are very much connected and hold a healing space. And if you're in that southern central Tennessee, wouldn't you say, is where a place to feel God is. And then the Farmhouse Sanctuary is about 6 miles over the border into Alabama near Florence, correct? And so feel free to email them and learn more as well about their project and what they're doing. And if you're in that area, certainly pop by and really get a feel for what Spirit and God is doing in their journey as well. So I just want to put that little invitation out, When
you say Southern Tennessee, we're on the Natchez Trace, which is a federal road, and it bisects our land. And so a place to feel God is at mile marker 340 on the Natchez Trace, and it's at Holly Road, and you drive down Holly Drive, and it'll dead end and turn right, and a place to feel God is a quarter mile up on the right, and that road is actually on our land. So
And we have a website for that too, placetofeelgod.org.
Lord,
Yeah.
Is it best for people to give you an email and say, hey, I'm coming at this time, so you guys can meet them, greet them? Or can they just go to this space without a guide, so to speak?
not yet. We're trying
working on
to
it.
find someone that God leads to us that will live up there.
Mhm.
So we don't have someone, we have a place for them to stay, but we don't have anyone up there yet.
Mhm.
And so this is where as I indicated, all happens in God's time. But this meeting with you and our getting ready to open and actually have guests, and then we have meeting spaces and can have educational, retreat type things if people are interested.
Right. And also you bake bread. So I don't want to leave that out. And
Yeah,
teach you and teach you,
Very good.
yeah.
Very good bread.
Yes, and teach people how to bake bread. So even if
correct.
you come to learn to bake bread in a loving, natural, beautiful setting, go for it. I think that would be also very, very fun. So yeah, I'm really
bees, you can
excited.
eat honey, you can learn woodwork. I mean, we have all kinds of things to offer.
That's right. You guys have how many hives, beehives?
Right now, about
Around
17.
17 beehives, yes. Are they out in the forest or out in the open? Where do you
no,
place this?
they're all in boxes that, and they go up and down. Bees, it is so difficult to keep bees alive. We had 22 last year, and over the winter we got down to 3.
Mm.
So there's something called colony collapse disorder, and you don't know what happens. They're there one day and the next they're gone.
Interesting. Okay, very good. So the next thing that I want to ask about and talk about is the fact of how, when you create sacred space, the energy comes, so to speak, or spirit supports that sacred space. So when you commit to following your guidance that spirit, Holy Spirit has given you, there's this incredible support to help make that happen in its own time. For us, we've been working on this for 20 years, and there takes a level of commitment. But how important is it for people to create their own sacred space in their own backyards that honors the divine, that can support the earth energy and the planet in its ascension? Because what we've learned and that A Place to Feel God and that Casa de Santa Maria are also helping the planet ascend. And by ascend, we don't mean, it zips up and goes somewhere. It changes or raises the consciousness or the frequency vibration in which we all function, and how much the world needs this at this point. I mean, you'd be crazy to think that the world was, in a wonderful place at the moment, with everything that's going on. But when you're on your spiritual journey, I think it's important that we hold our own higher vibration of divine love within our being, and that's what's going to change the world. And then if spirit asks you to create something, then you go do it, and spirit will come along and support that when it happens. And I think a lot of people are in that dance between third dimensional fear and higher dimensional trust. And you guys are certainly in that trust mode, even though you don't always understand how it's all going to take place or how it's all going to happen. When you agree that there's a level of trust in stepping into what our guidance is giving us, our divine guidance is giving us.
Yes.
Michael explained to me that heaven is a state of being, and that we're surrounded by heaven all the time. Mm-hmm. And what we need to change our situation to enter heaven at any time is no fear, faith, and selfless love. Mm-hmm. If you have those 3 things present, your state of being will transition to heaven.
Mm, very good. Very well said. So are there any like closing information you'd like to share about your journey, where you're headed? Maybe even sometimes the struggles and how you get out of those struggles and just trust. Any thoughts around those questions?
Well, it's an everyday journey, you wait, all of a sudden you find yourself in negative thoughts and like, oh, how did I get there? So release and breathe in love and breathe out fear and be in nature and hug a horse. I mean, just catching yourself when you're not aligned and then try to find that alignment. And that's something everybody can do.
Yeah,
So-
I mean, I agree. I mean,
Yeah.
we can talk about lost children if you want us to, or they can just read about it. But I mean, it's the lost children that influence us, and that's the issue.
And lost
Yeah.
children are spirits, souls that have passed from flesh, but that haven't made it up to the light yet.
Not only have they not made it up, they're actively working for the dark.
Yeah. And so they attach themselves to humans that have similar feelings, experiences that they had in their life. And then, like for instance, when you're addicted, an addict, it's really hard to get away from the addiction. It's not because it's mostly because these souls that maybe were also addicts in their lives, they keep running that little hamster wheel in your head. Oh, come on, one more time. Come on, you can do it. Come on, just let go. Just do it again. And then boom, you're stuck back in the rut. And
they have the craving.
Yeah.
That's why your craving is intensified, because
Right.
they come in.
Yeah.
What we don't realize is how porous our bodies are. We can absolutely be filled completely with heaven or the reverse.
Yeah.
And so you're not in your body by yourself. There is no vacuum. It's one or the other. And the number of lost children that you have indicates how Michael says that's a gauge as to how far you are from God at that moment. And it can change in microseconds.
Right.
And then at some point, when you get 7 or more, you can't come back by yourself. And that's when you become an ally of the dark and are a soldier on the dark side.
Right. I think this is a good subject in the fact that, because I've done a lot of work with people who have lost people to addiction, and the parents or whatever could never understand why they couldn't stop, why that once they got maybe clean from the drugs or the alcohol. And I really think what the drugs and the alcohol do is pull you into that lower vibration to where those entities are in the spirit world that want to feed off of or still want to feel the feeling of drinking or drugs. And it almost opens up to that you're not doing this alone. You've got other entities in there holding on to you being this way.
Yeah,
and go ahead, Mike.
It's different levels too, because one time we left the prayer meeting and there were 3 of us in the car, and we were talking about these lost souls, and I asked how many in the world at this point have no lost souls, and Raphael said 3, and you're all in this car. So we're so used to them. Everyone has them. And that's where you have to understand you can't be afraid. It's just part of the experience here. And it's just to go, those that are Christian, the story of Jesus, where
Excuse me.
sorry, there are two experiences that will help people understand this. One is when Jesus put these demons in the pigs. We don't know what he was doing and what happened there. But what Michael explained to me is the demons believed that they could not get home unless they were in flesh. And so the pigs offered themselves up as the flesh vehicle for these lost souls to get home. And that's so Jesus put the lost souls in the pigs go off the cliff, and the souls go up to talk to Michael. So in God's world, you're never lost. It's just a question of when you choose to come home and how.
Yeah, and the angels, Raphael once also said that, we angels, we are always with you. We are always there, but God gave everybody the gift of free will. So, and we will obey the free will. If you decide to accept fear, means we can't get into you. You basically block us out, and then the dark will have access to you. When you are filled with love, we have free access to you. So, the more we can stay in love, the more spirit can work with us and through us.
Yeah, and I think that those entities can't exist within you when you are in that place of divine love. When
Prayer.
yeah, and that they can't attach themselves. And and I think this is such a fascinating subject because we see the world today and how broken it is.
Yes.
And even the scriptures have told us that this world is ruled by principalities and powers that are not of the divine, you know what I mean? And so all the hooks in the whole world, everything is drawing you away from the divine. Everything that has been here is trying to draw you away from the divine and not finding that divine love within you and reawakening in it so you can be set free, so you can find that kingdom of heaven within, not without. And so I think in many ways, that's the struggle in this world, is that most people don't understand that this world is ruled, so to speak, by these lower entities, by the lower vibrational. You could see it in politics, you can see it in business, and the dog eat dog, and the things that keep people in those lower greed, lust, all those kind of things. And so the spiritual journey is about breaking free from that and getting into the heart so you can find your divine heart connection so that you can shift your whole life, when you're willing to go in that direction.
Yes.
And that, I don't remember the guy's name, but down by, I guess, in Galilee, the one that was attacking people by the road, and Jesus, everyone was afraid, he was beating everybody up, and he was incoherent. And then Jesus came, released the souls that were torturing him, and then he became coherent. And that's an extreme example. But yeah, greed is a function of how many of these lost souls you have. And so I won't go in this, but Michael has explained exactly how it works. And it's not in the first book, but it's in the second book. So.
Right. And talking about this, it's not about putting people into fear. It's about helping them to understand why sometimes you feel those lower vibrations. And then, or maybe you get stuck in depression. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because there could be an entity that attaches itself because it lived or believes in that depression. And there's such a hard way out of how do I shift this? And that kind of thing. And I think this is where it's really important on the spiritual journey, is where you invite the divine in, you invite the Holy Spirit to heal you or to help you remove those, or to see it, have a miracle of a different perspective in your own journey. And this is where the power of the spiritual journey, of going on a spiritual journey, is that invitation to the divine to come in and show me the way out of this, because you can't do it in third dimensional terms. It has to be by that divine power, the holy breath that comes in to help you in this journey to let go of these things that are keeping you stuck in your journey. So any thoughts about that?
Well, I mean, just to give you a vignette, I was talking with Michael, and there was I can't remember the exact situation, but someone needed help. And Michael says, well, what do you think you should do? And I said, I don't know. I guess just pray. And he admonished me, he goes, never say just in the same sentence with prayer. Prayer is the most powerful weapon we have. And we don't appreciate how unbelievably, extraordinarily powerful prayer is.
Yeah. And sometimes a prayer can be just help. Help
Yeah.
me, you know.
Right.
And just to give a little vignette, we met this gal and she was telling us a story that she was in really, really deep pain. And so she went to the hospital. She was lying there and nobody was coming. A doctor wasn't coming, and she was just in extreme pain in her side. And she finally called out, somebody get me a fucking doctor. And right at that moment, there happened to be a doctor walking by that walked in, knew exactly what was wrong, got her into the surgery room. And so sometimes the prayer can be, would you just fucking help me? It could be that in that way. And so I don't think we need to get too, although good prayers are really good, sometimes people think, well, how do I pray? And sometimes it can just be, I don't know, Jesus, can you help me? Or God, can you help me?
Yeah. I'm not going to tell you a story because this person's still alive, but I'll tell you when we get off the Zoom. But I prayed for a person thinking I knew what that person needed. And so I asked for a specific result, which God answered my prayer. That wasn't the result the person needed. And so now, and then I was talking with Raphael later, and I go, that person's not changing. And he looked at me and says, you're the one that prayed the way you did. And so I realized immediately that at that point that we don't know what someone needs. God does. So my prayer is always that that person's prayer gets met. And I no longer try to suggest to God what God needs to do. That was a humbling experience.
Very good. And thank you for sharing that. Yeah, I mean, there's so many directions we could go here. But I appreciate that point of view, because not a whole lot of people talk about, the things that keep us locked in and not being able to grow spiritually because we don't know it's there, and that invitation. And the thing is not to be afraid of it because the lost souls need as much love
Of course.
as we do, you know what I mean? And if they're not feeding off of us because we've changed, do you know what I mean? I think that helps them in some ways where they realize, and it depends on their choice of whether they want to stay in that environment. And I think everyone even in the unseen worlds or the lost children have an opportunity to change or to grow or to move into the light. And so there's this dance between each of us that as we grow and don't give them food for fodder, to eat, to feed off of and live their lives out through us, that helps them as well.
That food is fear.
Yeah.
As soon as you have any type of fear, that's what they feed on. That's why God's love is incompatible with fear. I mean, it's oil and water. They do not mix. And so when you're bathed in love, they can't hurt you. But you let fear in, they will hurt you.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah.
Well, learning from the angels that this is what's happening, because a lot of times we don't know why we react a certain way, why we're in certain moods and what's happening to us. And just to learn that this is what's happening. So, I mean, they taught us how to help release these souls and send them to the light, because a lot of those souls don't think they're worthy. They believe a lie that they're like, oh, you can't go to God. God will never love you. Think of what you've done. And that's not the truth. I mean, there's a misconception that the church has taught, but God loves us all. everybody. I mean, we all are created by God. And so we all have God's love in us.
God still loves Lucifer.
Yeah. And so, for me, like when I'm on the farm and all of a sudden I feel the like negativity, then I can just like, oh, okay, there's some souls. And then I can just stop and pray and send them love. And as soon as they feel love, then they have to leave me. And if they are open to it, they can maybe move on to the light. But it's just very powerful to have that knowledge, to work with that.
Why don't you explain how they've taught us how to pray with others?
You want us to do that?
Yes.
Oh. So it takes two people to play with each other. And so basically, you as a person, you don't do it. You are not the force, but you open your body up as a vessel for God and the angels to use you to help another person. And the angels have taught us, like, we are always there when there is love, no fear, faith, selfless love, no fear, and faith. We are always there. So when we pray with people, so that's why we just open up our bodies and asking God to use our bodies to help this other person. And then we use the right hand opens
the door.
The door.
And
so you do 12 counterclockwise circles with the right hand, like that, 12. And then the doors open. And in the beginning, then you use your left hand, and you usually have my eyes closed and just ask for them, for God, for the angels to take from the person whatever is not of God, whatever is not of love, whatever is not of light, to take it from them,
and
whatever they're willing to let go of.
you never touch the other person.
No. So, and then sometimes, your hand tingles or it gets cold or hot or something, and you feel guided to go up and down the body, just whatever. And then when you feel like it's finished, you shake it out because you do not want to keep that energy in you. And then you use the right hand again and do 12 counterclockwise circles again. And then the right hand is the one that puts love and light in. So then you pray for the person that their prayers will be answered, that they will be filled with love and light. And again, we usually have our eyes closed and just let our hands be guided. And when it's done, you rub your hands and disengage. So then.
Very good. And you guys teach this, or something that you can teach to people and help them learn to help others when they're particularly stuck on their journey. You can help them remove that which is keeping them, And of course, I think it's important to say here that it really depends on the person. You can clear the entities, but they have to want to change, correct?
Because the entities can come right back. If you stay in fear, then they will be back.
Interesting.
But the more you do it and the more people become aware, like, oh, wait a second, then, the dark doesn't have as much power over you. Then you give people the option to release. And
well, most people are so used to feeling them inside that that's normal to them. And so when they're gone for that moment, it feels abnormal. Don't really know what to do with this. And so, all this happens in microseconds. And so if we're able to send those that were there home, it doesn't matter. Their minions will fill the space. Any place there's a void where there's no love, it will get filled.
But you have a tool now to work with that.
Right. And don't get discouraged. I mean, it's just, you just have to learn that that's part of this world. My friend, the man that she talked about initially, one time he was sitting with Raphael, and Raphael said, give me all the stuff where you blame yourself and all your self-judgment, and ball it up and give it to me. And so he would give it to Raphael, and then at the end of the conversation, Raphael said, you want it back? And he go, yeah, I'll take it back. And then one day he gave it to Raphael, and Raphael said, well, do you want it back? And he said, no. Raphael said, he said, no, you can keep it. And Raphael goes, I don't want it. And he threw it away. But we're so used to living in chaos and gray that pure love, initially at least, it's scary and it doesn't feel right.
And I think a lot of people don't feel worthy of it. Like you said earlier, you didn't feel worthy of that divine love. And yet that's the only thing that comes from the divine is love.
That's the biggest trick the dark has, is to convince you you're unworthy. And I was with a really good friend, and she at one point had an affair with a married man, and she could not forgive herself. And Raphael's there with her and praying with her and trying to get her to forgive herself. And he looked at her and he goes, honor your father, forgive yourself. That's Lucifer's only hook. That's why C.S. Lewis said hell's a prison cell locked from the inside. That's where we torture ourselves. God doesn't do it. We do it to ourselves.
I agree that 100%. So tell me a little bit about your books before we close here. What was your first book?
It's A Place to Feel God. It's reprinted. You can't find it. You can download an earlier version for free on the website.
Place to Feel God.
Place to Feel God, yeah. And then when I finish this one and get it printed, it'll be available on Amazon. But I'm still going, any money I get goes to a private foundation, because the rules are there is absolutely no personal compensation from spreading God's love and explaining this to others. So either if someone buys a book, it'll go to a foundation to buy more books to give away, or you can download it for free on the website. So the earlier version's on the website now. As soon as I finish this latest version, it'll be on the website. And then the second book is God's Wisdom as Taught by Angels. And I have written what the angels told me on different subjects and have compiled that into another book on myriad subjects.
Very, very.
And as I get this one on Amazon, which it should be maybe 2 months, then I'll immediately get the second one going. So hopefully by the end of the year, both of them will be on Amazon, and both of them will be on the website where they can be downloaded for free.
Okay. So we'll make sure that both websites are put up on, under this video so people can go, and you should be able to contact you guys through those websites if you want more information or to come visit the Farmhouse Sanctuary or A Place to Feel God. You guys can be the tour guides and take them up there. And so thank you so much for joining us today. I really appreciate a fascinating discussion, and hopefully it will help you out there, you folks out there, to really think about your own spiritual journeys and the joy of moving into your heart and experiencing divine love. And sometimes God just comes and gets us, like it did for you, Conrad. Sometimes for Ute and I, we went looking for God, and that opened the door, do you know what I mean, to that experience with God. So it really depends on the soul's journey. Sometimes Conrad, if we're stubborn enough, God has to come grab us by the back of the neck and say, okay, something needs to change here. And that's a beautiful experience in itself. Wouldn't you agree?
Absolutely. And that nothing can keep you from God's love, irrespective. As I said, Lucifer at some point will go before God. There is no one. That's why Jesus had the parable of the prodigal son. No one is ever beyond the reach of God's love.
Absolutely. So let's leave it there, and know you guys are loved, and thanks for joining us. And go visit their websites. Bye-bye.